It's at the crossroads, that spirituality and God might be found. That's the last line of our mission statement, our vision statement for this congregation. Once upon a time, our vision and our mission spoke about a historical organization deeply connected to the conservative movement of Judaism. All true. But with this new era and with sight of the people in which we serve, not the ideas and concepts that we affiliate with, but the people that we served, we set out to try to understand how we could best serve you. How we could best serve the people of Atlanta, the people of this world. And so speaking about organizations, institutions, concepts, philosophies that we connect with, we felt did not give any grounding. So instead, we talked about the crossroads, which we all come to at every moment in our life, truthfully, is the place that spirituality and God might be found. I remember working with a group of people on what we like to call word smithing. You familiar with that? It's when you have a statement that is perfectly good, and then you decide to tear it apart for the next few weeks in the attempt of making it perfectly good. And so we did this. It was originally written at the intersection. At the intersection. But that sounded sterile and cold. Intersections are where your car pulls up to. But crossroads sound like a dilemma, don't they? And then, of course, the big kicker. Spirituality and God might be found. I remember how much we discussed. Is it are found or might be found? You hear the difference, right? One gives a promise. The other one, truthfully, is reality, isn't it? I can't tell you where you're going to find your spirituality. I can give you some hints. I could give you some suggestions. I have some wonderful texts that I'd like you to read. I have some practices, some rituals that you might find spiritually uplifting. But I'm not you. I'm not you. So I can't tell you what you're actually going to experience, what you're actually going to find when you stand at the crossroads or the intersection. But we stand at it nonetheless. We are always at a crossroads. The question is, what way are we going to take? Simple decisions, like what you're going to have for breakfast, is a crossroads. Big decisions, whether or not I'm going to stay in this relationship, whether or not I'm going to go through the treatment. But they're all crossroads, and we have to make them. And so in this particular institution, we decided not to focus on what was holding us in the past, what helped build us, but instead talk about where we're going. Talked about purposeful belonging, that you belong to a place. But then we talked about this crossroads that we're all at, this intersection. And what we desperately need at the intersection is to see one another. So what are we supposed to do? When we get to the crossroads, and each spot, each direction is filled with another person, another one of us who we're looking at, because that is in fact the crossroads that this institution, that this spiritual family wants you to come to. Not only the crossroads of those big decisions you make. in those very quiet, dark moments. We all have those. But Judaism asks us to open those moments up to community, to each other. Why do you think in our darkest moments, after we've lowered our loved one into the ground, you come home to all the community in your house? Because when you're at a crossroads, Judaism wants you to see somebody else there with you. In this week's Parsha, we spent the last hour focusing on two words. Ishe Adonai, the fire of God. We were unclear what it meant. Was it the fire that's supposed to come down and consume the sacrifice on the altar? Is the fire of God that which penetrates our soul and impassions us to do something great in the world? To bring God's presence into the world? What is our responsibility to the Ishe Adonai, to the fire of God? Do we just set up the logs, put the sacrifice on the altar, and step back and wait for the magic to happen? Or are we, in fact, supposed to do something? Is that fire something that we take a hold of, that we, in fact, bring into the world? The fire of God is that which is inside of all of us. It's that which we're passionate about. It's that which sparks our interest, pun intended. But I got to put my passion behind them. At least one, maybe two. And so at the crossroads, who you meet is somebody who's there to share their passion with you and you with them. This is when we do synagogue best. It's when this happens. You come for an event and you meet someone who's also so concerned about food insecurity and hunger in this world. You join a group that cares about the place of LGBTQ in our community, and you meet others from the congregation who are part of that. You decide to join a Talmud group, and you see on the screen other people who are interested in the subject as well. You come for Friday night services, even though you have to fight Atlanta traffic to get there, and you sit next to somebody who comes all the time as well. This is what is supposed to happen at the crossroads. The Ishe Adonai, the fire of God that is within you, gets shared with somebody else, and they just help to add more fuel to the fire. You feel impassioned. You feel like you could do more, be more. Your voice is bigger. Your hands are stronger. This is what God, in my opinion, God wants of us. It's what God instills in us. That's when we're doing this work best. That's when we really understand what we read today with the Ishe Adonai, that the fire of God is to be burned on the altar. It's the altar of our neshama, the altar of our soul. And if we can meet people at the crossroads who have their own fire, then imagine the bonfire we could create together. Shabbat Shalom.